Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Hi, hello, listener of Never Morphed. If you like this show, I am convinced you are going to love The Newest Olympian by Mike Schubert. Why am I so certain? Because that's one of the shows that inspired this show. Real ones who listen to the credits already know. Each week, Mike dives into the Percy Jackson series, which I love, joined by guests who are longtime fans of the Rick Riordan series. If you haven't read these books yet, this is the perfect way to get started and read along with Mike. They're so good. And like Animorphs, they're kids' books that touch on way more serious topics than you might expect. And they're about worldwide mythologies, starting with Greek and Roman. I know you gays love mythology. If you have already read the books and know how good they are, you'll love this series too. The dramatic irony, man. And if you know about the books from the Disney Plus series, Mike has done interviews and conversations with some of the cast of the show on The Newest Olympian too. Mike is a great host, a great editor, and obviously a huge inspiration for me. You can find The Newest Olympian in the show notes or wherever you get your podcasts. Go subscribe right now and enjoy.
Brought to you by Hug House Productions.
Welcome to another episode of Never Morphed, a podcast in which I read all the Animorphs books for the first time, and they're really good, and I love them, and I talk to my friends, and it's a good time. So this is a podcast about books for kids, but it's not for kids. Stop singing. Anyway, this is book 12. It is a Rachel book, and it is about crocodiles and allergies. I am joined once again by Fresco, repeat guest. Find their work in the show description as always. And we talk a lot about child stars and parasocial relationships, which is something that I have written many published pieces about and have big opinions on. So let's get to it shortly. But as a reminder, as always, you can support me on patreon.com/hughousepods. And if you go there, you will find my notes. You will find extended conversations. The one for this podcast, this series of episodes on book 12, the full conversation is like almost 4 hours long and has so many tangents that I was very hesitant to cut. But it is what it is. But you can find all of that on patreon.com/hughousepods. You can even buy single selections of extended conversations for $5. You don't have to do like an ongoing support thing. I know I'm exhausted by subscriptions, aren't you? You can just pay a $5 and then you have it. Okay, I think that's enough out of me. Enjoy the episode. Enjoy. Bye. Hey, Fresco. Thank you for joining me again. This time to talk about book 12. So excited to have you back.
I'm so excited to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, book 12.
Book 12.
The reaction. First off, the title. No.
The allergic reaction.
Okay. The title, yes. You know what? The title, yes. So the first things I noticed about this book are, one, it's a Rachel book. I feel like it's been ages. I love her so much.
Yeah. I as I was reading, I was like, is this the first one I read? Maybe. As a kid?
Wow.
I'm not 100% sure, but I was getting like the ghosts of like what thoughts I might have had as a 9-year-old child or whatever reading this. So I think this might have been the first one, or at least one of the first ones.
Wild. This is a crazy one to jump in on. I was thinking while I was going, like, how well it does the exposition.
Yeah.
Given how crazy this one is. So it seems like you would have been able to like follow along, but geez, you really hopped in the thick of it, huh?
Yeah. I guess this is how all the books are. No.
So the second thing that I noticed is that we had a croc or gator. And Crocs, gators, caimans, all of them are like some of my favorite kinds of animals. I love them so much.
Tell me more.
I think, first off, I think they're very cute. Second off, I think they're very beautiful and elegant. Third, I think they're just so fucking cool. Like, they really are. And they talk about it in this book. Like, ain't nothing can take on a crocodile.
Right.
You know? Like, it's going to get you. And I love that they haven't evolved in like millennia, that they're just basically dinosaurs because they were just perfect and they never had to adapt more. I think that's so fucking cool. And I just think they're sweet.
I had to Google the evolution thing because it comes up in the book. And I was like, is that for real? And I Googled it and I was like, oh my God, it is for real.
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up. Straight up. They're just, they're God's perfect angel babies.
They're like,
we're
we're good.
Have evolved.
Yeah.
So good.
Carcinization? No, thank you.
Yeah, no. Immune. We're good. No crab legs for us, except for in our mouths.
Just grizzly bear legs.
Oh yeah, grizzly bear legs. Oh man, she pulls some wild shit in this book.
Yeah.
So I think let's just hop into it, yeah?
Yes.
So chapter 1 starts off, and again, like the exposition in this book for me was just really strong. Like throughout the book, I thought it was really well done. There is something, I don't know if it's just that I relate to the Rachel books and the Marco books more than the other books because I just like vibe with those characters more.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that they get into Rachel's headspace specifically for exposition is like so cool to me.
Yeah.
There's this like sense of dichotomy. Each time we come back to Rachel, we return to this idea of like external evaluations versus internal feelings and the conflict there.
Yes.
So in this early exposition we have like you know, my friends think that I'm fearless, but actually I have a ton of fear. And, you know, yeah, people think that I'm XYZ, but I'm actually A, B, C.
Yeah. Rachel and Marco are my favorites for specifically that difference between like how they describe themselves and how the others describe them and how they in particular think of each other.
Yeah.
It's there's so much depth.
Yeah, I feel like right now, I feel like the Applegates have the best grasp on Rachel and Marco.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That tracks.
I also loved this line in this first chapter where Rachel is just talking about like, you know, just doing her exposition things. The narration says, when you live in an insane world, you have to hold on to the little things. And first off, it made me think of one of my favorite lines in one of my favorite games, Night in the Woods, which is at the end of everything, hold on to anything.
Oof.
Yeah. Game of all time, really spectacular. And I just like feel that really deeply. And like, that's the other thing is like, man, sure am feeling this one right now.
Yeah. Yeah, God.
We're recording this on February 18th, 2025, just to give like some perspective on what we're dealing with right now.
At the end of everything, do an Animorphs podcast. Like that's what I'm holding on to right now.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. So Rachel introduces this idea that there are voluntary controllers and that somebody that she is aware of has become one, and she is like disgusted by it.
Yeah.
At first, I was a little like turned around in the narration, and I thought that she was saying that it was going to be Marco, and I was like, oh my God.
That would be the fucking twist of the century.
Right? I was like, Jesus, okay.
Book 12.
Crazy to not have this be a Marco book.
Look, Scholastic wants what it wants, and they wanted it to be a Rachel book.
Luckily, in fact, that's not what she's saying. She is talking about some kind of parasocial relationship that she has.
Yeah.
And and I am going to be so annoying about that phrase. I'm so sorry.
No, I understand.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this about me. As a journalist, culture critic, whatever, most of my work has been about podcasts, but a lot of my work has also been about parasocial relationships, which is a phrase that I have a really hard time saying out loud. The L to the R in there is not friendly to me. But I've written several pieces on these kinds of relationships, and I have gone back and I started doing this all when I still had like JSTOR access, you know? So I've read the original 1956 Horton and Wool
Cool.
essay, yeah, that like defined the term and was the first to use it. I've read a bunch of other leading psychological and sociological scholarship after that. And the way that we talk about parasocial relationships is wrong and bad.
And I think half of what I've read about them was probably written by you, so I might.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah, we might be on the same page.
Thank God. For people who aren't, I just want to say that they're not negative and they are automatic. They are not a thing that you have control over. Your listener, unless you know me personally and we talk like fairly regularly, like we've talked to an extent that's more than like a reply or two on social media, your relationship with me is parasocial.
Right.
Whether or not you want it to be. That's just how they work. It's automatic. It is just one person knows about the other person. The other person does not even know that the other person exists. Like it's just automatic. That's my relationship with Dochi, and it's my relationship with David Lynch, rest in peace. And it's my relationship with Hatsune Miku. Like varying degrees of interest in any of those things. Mostly, I just don't really care about Hatsune Miku, actually. Good for her, but not my jam. But yeah, they're just automatic.
Yeah, like I had a parasocial relationship with you until we met at CN's wedding.
Which is wild. Now, all that being said, I don't think Rachel is doing a great job of managing her feelings.
This one might be a little unhealthy.
Oy, oy, oy.
I have like my pre-read notes, and I said, what do I remember about this book? XP of the kid from Home Improvement. I accidentally said Full House at first.
Oh, yes. So I didn't know. I said Full House. I forgot that Home Improvement is a show. I never watched it growing up. So I did think it was Full House. But I was like, what, were there teenage boys in that? I thought there was just a teenage girl. I didn't watch that show either.
I watched that show, Full House, and I can tell you that the biggest parasocial relationship from teenage girls would have been Uncle Jesse.
That's what I thought. And I was like, he's too old for this, right?
Right. I didn't watch much Home Improvement, and I absolutely was not aware that there was some kind of really intense fan base for one of the kids on that show. But I looked him up. I think he was 16 when this book came out. And I'm like, does he know that there's an Animorphs book about him?
Dude, I hope he doesn't. Straight up.
I tried to Google to see if he'd ever said anything about it, and I didn't find anything. I'm like, maybe he knows peace. Maybe he is safe.
Maybe he is safe. I hope he's safe. I hope he's well. So chapter 2.
Oh, wait, there's one more thing about chapter 1 that I really love that appears a few times throughout this book. And I'm trying to find the actual line. I just wanted to get home, do all those normal things, maybe watch TV, check out some websites. And websites is 2 words and web is capitalized.
That's so cute.
And like, this is such a funny time capsule of a book. Like, not just the, I guess a lot of teenage girls were really into Jonathan Taylor Thomas aspect of it, but also just the, like, he's so popular. There's like 20 websites about him.
The days before Stan accounts on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
There's so much of this book is dedicated to just like who was hot at the time. It's hilarious because this was like, I was 5 when this book came out. Like this was just before my time where I could register anything like that. And the whole time I was like, these guys were supposed to be hot?
Right.
Is this
Kevin Costner? Like,
yeah,
no
that one
offense.
really got me.
No offense to Mr. Costner. I have unless I don't know anything about him, but like, that's just not what I think of.
No.
I also clipped the line, and the taxons. Well, what can you say about the taxons? Huge cannibalistic centipedes, not exactly the good guys of the galaxy, not exactly nice. And I wrote, they just hungy.
They just hungy.
They just hungy.
They can't help it.
Their tummies are rumbling.
They gotta eat something. Maybe brother. Maybe brother.
Maybe brother.
So, chapter 2, they're at the zoo for a field trip. This is the zoo in the gardens where Cassie's mom works, and Cassie is like so stressed that her deeply uncool mother is gonna say some shit to embarrass her.
Oh my god.
I love seeing this side of Cassie where she's not just like perfect, you know?
She is a teenage girl who
Yes.
doesn't want to be embarrassed by her mom in front of all her friends.
Yes.
She doesn't want her mom to talk about boys 11 men.
Yes, boys 11 men. And we have to talk. We have to talk about nice is neat.
Nice is neat.
This is one of my favorite moments in the series so far. I am biased because I am a huge fan of 9 Inch Nails. I think that Trent Reznor was maybe like actually my first crush on an adult male boy. So to get away with buying a 9 Inch Nails CD, to those who don't know, their logo for the band is just NIN. And Cassie convinced her mom at Marco's suggestion that it stands for nice is neat.
Nice is neat.
Like, to those who don't know, 9 Inch Nails is like extremely angry, depressed, horny, industrial gothic music. Most people think of them as hardcore. I definitely think of them as horny before anything else, like horny and depressed. So I was like, Cassie, girl, your mom's right. You should not be listening to 9 Inch Nails right now. And then I was like, I was absolutely listening to 9 Inch Nails when I was like 12. Like, I really can't talk.
Right. And then it turns out that she's not listening to it. She got it for Marco.
Yeah, she doesn't like it. She says they're too intense.
I absolutely love this line of, actually, they're a little depressed and grim and harsh for me, although it would be perfect for my mood today.
Yes.
Just very, very normal teenager. Like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. My mom's going to embarrass me. Yes, the Yerks, whatever. This is awful.
Yeah, it's so cute. I love her so much.
Me too.
And then a kid falls into the crocodile pit.
We leaned against the railing of the crocodile pit, and I wrote, "Don't do that.
Don't do that." But they did too much.
Oh, also, Cassie and Rachel share a Mountain Dew in this chapter.
Yeah, it was really cute.
It was cute. Best friends.
Best friends. Yeah, so this goes from 0 to 100 real fast.
Yeah. Animorphs.
Yes. So a little boy falls into the crocodile pit. She basically immediately turns to Rachel and is like, "Don't do anything stupid. I'm calling for help."
Rachel, don't.
And Rachel does.
Rachel does. Almost immediately.
Almost immediately, yeah. She really does not hesitate.
This is the first part of the book where I wrote kind of a longer note. I don't know if we want to explain more of what happens first.
No, go for it.
So what I quoted is, I didn't have any morph that could take on a 15-foot long crocodile. Not my grizzly bear morph, not even my elephant morph, probably. And even to save a life, I couldn't morph in public. Which my initial note was just 2 different varieties of extremely brutal math that Rachel is capable of doing on the fly now.
Uh-huh.
And then my longer note is, this is such an interesting display of who Rachel is and who she's becoming because of the war, and who she was always going to be, even if she lived a normal life, and how those 2 versions of her are still fundamentally the same person. I love that in her thought process, she's explicitly thinking that she won't be able to morph in this situation. She's not relying on that. She ends up being able to do it anyway, but that's not what she's thinking about when she jumps. She's thinking that this is a stupid thing to do, and then she does it anyway.
Yeah. Wow. That idea of like these 2 people being the same person, but just the circumstances. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's like, I don't think there's any version of Rachel who just stands there waiting for the adults to come save the day.
Yeah, no.
Like, especially not this version of Rachel, but I don't think any version of Rachel.
No, and it makes sense. Like, looking at how parentified she is and like how much she has to do for her family and how much has fallen through the cracks during her parents' divorce, like, doesn't shock me even a little bit that she wouldn't rely on adults to save the day.
Also, where are the fucking adults? They take so long to get there.
I know. Like, where are there not chaperones?
Right? Like I guess what are they going to do? Also jump into the pit? But
yeah,
there's so many of us. We can outnumber the crocodiles.
Yeah. Sure, sure, that'll work great. It does make me think of. I loved the Teen Titans TV show from the 2000s.
Me too.
Growing up. Yeah, it fucking ruled. And one of the things that they talked about with their iteration of Robin, because their iteration of Robin is not Dick Grayson, it's not Jason Todd, it's not any of the like canonical Robins. It is just Robin. Like just his own, it's the amalgamation basically of all the other Robins. And they said that his defining feature is not his leadership, it's not his hacking abilities, it's not his kicking people in the face abilities. It is that he just does things. He just, like, if he has to jump from one platform to another and it's too far, he's just gonna jump and he'll figure it out in the air.
God.
Like, yeah, like that impulsiveness, but that ability to just navigate immediate problem solving feels so Rachel to me.
That's extremely Rachel. That's God.
Also, terrifying.
Also, she literally manages to jump into the pit by shouting, "Look over there," to distract the crowd. Which I think might be the only time I've seen that played straight.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And in fact, she hops in. She's got no plan because she doesn't think that she's going to be able to morph. She sees that all of the crocodiles, she thinks, in the enclosure are like on an island a little ways away in the water in the enclosure. And then as she hops down, no, she is right by the biggest one.
God.
Terrifying.
I'm always like extremely startled when the kids. Is this the first injury? Because I've missed a couple of the books. Is this the first injury to one of the kids' human bodies? Because her arm gets like torn up on the concrete.
Oh, that's right. I think maybe. I think that a lot of the other injuries have been like really severe, but they've been in a morphed body. I think this is maybe the first one that was on the human kid body.
Yeah, because like that's something that has been fascinating me this time around with the books, and kind of the last half of the last time I read the books, I started thinking about this of like, it makes me think about how the fights must be so much more visceral for Ax and Tobias because they're fighting in their bodies.
Yes.
And like,
yeah,
I just listened to your podcast on the Android where like Axe's fucking arm gets ripped off.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It's so fucked. And like Tobias, not only is that his actual body now, he can't morph into something else and morph back. Like if he gets hurt,
he's
fucked. Hurt. There's no healing for him. I mean, other than like natural.
Other than Cassie.
Right. Yeah. Nightmare.
Mm-hmm. So it was really startling to me that the like chapter 3 or whatever we're in just has Rachel saying that like, yeah, I jumped onto this fake concrete tree and it tore up my arm and my hands. Like, oof. Okay.
I do love that she's employing her gymnastics skills here. She compares it to the uneven bars, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that's part of why I was like, yeah, any version of Rachel would have and could have done this.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing that I thought was funny is that everybody in the crowd is like screaming. And one of them says the word fool. And I was just like, oh, that's Visser 3.
Yeah, we both have that in our notes. I just have, don't be a fool, someone yelled. Visser 3.
You hanging out at the gardens today, baby? What are you doing?
Looking for new morphs.
I wish. Like, this man has never been to the zoo, it seems. Somebody needs to take him to the zoo.
Please.
So she lands by this huge crocodile, and she's like, okay, well, I guess we're doing this. And she starts getting the DNA for that morph.
Oh, I had a thing here. Is that he stared at me with brown yellow eyes that almost seemed to be laughing. Of course he was laughing. He'd thought he only had one human to chomp. Now he had 2. And I just jotted down, kind of interesting to see Rachel projecting motives and morality onto the crocodiles in the same way she did with the taxons in the previous chapter, right down to framing animalistic hunger as malicious.
Ooh! Oh my God, that's such a good catch. Yes.
Thank you.
She also, earlier on, I didn't think to mention this, but I had it in my notes. As they're walking through the gardens, she sees like a ball python, and she's like, why do they even have snakes here when they're not doing anything? And it's like, what are you talking about? They're being snakes. Like, is that not? Isn't that the point? Is to go look at a guy being a guy? Like,
they're hanging out.
She really does seem to put a lot of this like moralized motive on every creature.
Yeah, it's just really interesting to me.
Totally. Chapter 4.
This book moves so fast.
It really does. Yeah, this one's a sprint. She gets the DNA. She rolls off the crocodile. She has like a few moments, as we know, where the croc will be like blissed out and chill and not eating her. This is very similar to when Jake first got the tiger morph. This was also in the gardens, and it was also like a last minute decision.
Oh, right.
Because he didn't realize there were 2 in the enclosure.
Right. These kids really need to start counting the animals before they go in.
Seriously. Or like, ask how many are in there. So she starts morphing into the big croc. She's trying to keep them all away from this boy who is also still in here. And this other croc and her, they start wrestling. It's sick as fuck. They're doing the spinny thing in the water, and they say the water foams.
Yeah.
Then there's just kind of some sick crocodile fighting. And then she gets the kid up onto her back by being, she thought speaks to him.
God, that's such a stupid but very Rachel thing to do.
It's so correct. She's just like, hey kid.
Hey kid.
I'm the good crocodile.
Hey kid, hope you're not a controller.
Yeah.
Like very in character. But.
Yeah. And the kid is like, sure, whatever, I guess. He climbs up on her back and she says that he is riding her like a pony.
This kid having the weirdest day of his life, Rachel having an average Tuesday.
Yes, exactly. She gets him back to where he can climb on up out, but then she is still there. We don't know how she got out.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right.
Like, I was waiting because my next note is, okay, but how how did you get out, girl?
Uh-huh.
And then we just skipped to like, anyway, we didn't have to hear Cassie's mom's presentation, it turns out. How did you get out? How did you get out of here?
We also skipped to even the big croc was okay after some surgery, to which I said, oh my God, Rachel.
Yeah.
You fucked up this zoo crocodile so bad.
She fucked it up so bad. Yeah, but I guess she's fine for now.
Okay, I took a bunch of notes on this chapter.
Yes.
Do you have any? Do you want to go first?
No, I pretty much was just like, here's the things that happen.
Okay.
You go for it.
For the first time ever, I felt sick to my stomach while acquiring the crocodile. Sick like I'd swallowed some spoiled milk or something. And at the same time, I felt a swarm of heat prickles all over my skin. But a queasy stomach and nerves were the least of my problems. I rolled off the croc into the alcove beside the boy, and I wrote, Rachel ignoring warning signs from her own body so she can focus on the mission.
Uh-huh.
There's just some really cool description of the crocodile. The crocodile brain didn't rush at me. It didn't do anything quickly. It was slow, so slow.
Mm-hmm.
But it was slow the way a super tanker may be moving slowly, but still be impossible to stop. It rolled toward me, utter simplicity, no complex thoughts, no doubts, just hunger. Only hunger. Slowly, like I was climbing up out of a well, I felt my own mind, the mind of Rachel, start to emerge again. I just really like that description of like climbing up out of a well. And then
So good.
I saw flashes of the child starting to crawl away. I saw flashes of the other crocodiles slithering toward the water. They hoped to take the child while the two bigger crocs were busy fighting. And I wrote, why are these zoo crocodiles so hungry? Cassie's mom, explain, using incorrect pop culture references if possible.
Hey, yeah. Why are they so hungry?
I also wrote, oh, Rachel fully almost eats this child.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she does. That's right. Yeah, she super does almost eat that boy.
Just gets distracted by there being other crocodiles to fight.
Yes. Thank God.
I also wrote, I understand that this is the opening scene of an Animorphs book, so of course Rachel has to morph the crocodile. I'm having the strangest feeling of wishing she had to resolve this situation without morphing, because that's more interesting to me as someone who has already read all these books and seen Rachel turn into a bunch of things.
That's so fair.
And also, it seemed like they were kind of setting that up, because they had her thinking that she can't justify morphing in public even to save a life, and then she just does it anyway.
Right.
Which is very Rachel, but I was at first like, oh, does she do this without morphing? Oh, no.
I know, I thought so too. I was kind of excited for that, but I also love crocodiles, so I was really happy with that.
You got to see a croc fight.
Yeah. So I didn't mark down the nausea because I didn't know what was coming.
Right.
And like looking back, like it really is, it's just immediately something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's funny that she says this is the least of her problems.
It turns into the most of her problems.
Yes, correct. So chapter 5, we have group meeting at the barn. I think this is one of our only group meeting at the barn in this book. I think this is the only one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Interesting. So they're pissed.
I wrote down, and your feeling is this was all pretty cool. And I wrote, oh, Jake's mad.
Yeah, Jake's mad.
He's so mad.
I love how Rachel describes when Jake is mad in this book, that he has this silky voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's quiet and it's silky. That quiet rage is something I understand very deeply. And also I think is extremely funny for Jake. I was getting big like Cutter Wolf 359 vibes off of Jake here. He's hilarious.
I wrote down the line, Jake isn't a yelling kind of person when he's mad. He's a grinding his teeth, pacing, and talking in a low, silky voice kind of person. Which is both really scary and really funny to picture, because I think he's like a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Which, not to downplay the emotions of 13-year-old boys, but that's like the fact that this is described in such an intimidating way.
Yes. I also feel like this is a kind of anger that is usually acquired by like working in retail.
Ooh. Yeah.
And so to see little Jakey boy with this kind of expression of anger is just, it's really good.
It's like funny on the top and then tragic underneath and then funny again.
Yeah.
Animorph sandwich.
Yeah, an animorph sandwich. Cassie is the only one who's giving Rachel any sort of like backup here.
Mm-hmm. Which, Cassie,
Marco?
you don't have to do that.
Cassie, girl, you don't have to do this. She's being such a good friend. Come on. I love that Rachel is like, what was I supposed to do? Just let the kid die? And Marco is like, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is not even Marco, you're full of shit. You got shot in your first POV book trying to save an old man from some muggers.
Dude, literally in a gorilla morph. Don't even. Tobias, who is sweet in this book, but shockingly not nearly as present as I was expecting him to be.
I was a little sad about that.
Right? Like, I feel like this is a huge Rachel and Marco book, and Tobias feels like a little bit of an afterthought, and that's kind of sad.
A lot of this book feels very rushed. There's I don't remember what chapter it's in, but at some point in my copy of the book, it briefly accidentally switches to third-person point of view.
Oh my god, if that happened in mine, I totally did not notice.
I noted
it.
I noted it down because I wanted to ask if it happened in yours, so I'll tell you when we get to it.
Yeah, perfect. I'll check. So Tobias is he's trying to be like, it's okay, Rachel, and she's just like, no, it's not.
And that's his role in the book.
Uh-huh.
Which is a little sad.
Yeah, it is a little sad.
Well,
he's our next POV character, I think.
Right? Do you want an answer from me, or do you want me to keep my mouth shut?
No. It is because it goes Jake, Rachel, Tobias, because he was book 3.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to revisit our boy proper.
I wrote down a quote of, I would probably think Jake was good looking, except that he's my cousin. And I said, I need the books to stop doing this.
Yes.
It said, it's okay for kids picking up a Jake or Rachel book for the first time to not know the other one is supposed to be hot.
I agree. Okay. It needs must be said. This book is horny and I really don't like it.
I think I think a lot of it, I just kind of accept it because I read this as a child. So I'm just like, the horny book.
Right. Had I read it as a child, I would have been appreciative of this. Reading it as a 30-something-year-old, I don't like it.
Oh, these are babies. Make it stop.
Yes. Like, when 9 Inch Nails was brought up, I really do think of them first and foremost as horny. And I was like, that's why I was like, Cassie, you shouldn't be listening to this. And then I thought that was like it, and that I was making a funny little joke. And then the whole book. Wow.
Well, you know what? I wonder if part of why that kind of blew past me too is that I have not listened to much 9 Inch Nails, so I was not aware of that like reputation. So that one just went completely over my head.
Totally. 9 Inch Nails. So people know them largely based on the name and knowing that like they're goth and industrial and like hardcore, right? But a lot of people may not connect the dots that their most famous song is a very famous song, and it is the one in the chorus. The chorus starts, "I want to fuck you like an animal." So
I do know that one. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yep. People just don't put it together. Yeah, that's 9 Inch Nails. And that's like some of the least horny shit they do. There is a reason. Okay, if you're not giving us money on the Patreon, listener, at this point, I think that you should be, because you get to see my Google process and my little adventures. You can see in the notes the 9 Inch Nails adventures I went on for this. I'm going to leave it at that. There was a reason I Googled that specifically.
Do we think Marco wanted a 9 Inch Nails CD because he thinks it's funny to have a CD with lyrics, "I want to fuck you like an animal"?
Absolutely. 100%, 100%, 100%. I do not think that Marco is like hardcore enough to to really be into Nine Inch Nails in a real way. Maybe I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, good for him.
Everyone says he's the most hardcore.
Everyone. Colon, Marco. So chapter 6, we finally get an introduction to this boy. The end of chapter 5, Tobias is like, Rachel asked Jake what he would have done.
Mhm.
And so she does ask him. He avoids the question. And then chapter 6 starts with him being like, okay, I would have done the same thing, but...
But we also skipped Rachel absolutely roasting Marco in her narration.
Oh my God, what did she say? I didn't take notes. Do tell.
Marco is not the leadership type. He's very smart, but unfortunately he uses all his brain to make stupid jokes. Okay, maybe not all his brain. If he used all his brain to make jokes, the jokes would probably be better.
Funnier. Yeah.
Marco is cute, although not as cute as he thinks he is. It would be impossible for anyone to be as cute as Marco thinks he is.
Yep.
To which I wrote, fucking roasted.
Fucking roasted. She's so on the money.
Rachel also talks about skanky lizards.
Oh, that's right.
This book series uses the word skanky in a way that I have only ever seen this book series use the word skanky.
Yes. Yes. Would you describe how it is used here?
Normally when we're in the barn, Cassie would be busily cleaning cages or giving medications to skanky lizards or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sure. Those trollops.
Which I wrote, Skanky Lizards is my Nine Inch Nails cover band.
It works. It works. So in this debacle where Jake is trying to dismiss what Rachel is saying, even though she's right, Cassie and Axe both side with Rachel. Cassie is being a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
Axe is like, Rachel was brave, and that is good.
That is
because
good.
That's how his Andalite propaganda brain works.
Uh-huh. Axe is a little bit phoned in this book. I feel like him and Tobias both.
Totally agreed.
A little bit.
Totally.
A little bit flat.
Yeah.
But,
and then so Jake, out of nowhere, it's really like Jake just kind of goes, and also, and introduces the actual plot of the book, which is the Sharing is hiring a teen heartthrob sitcom actor, Jeremy Jason McCole, who we know is Jonathan
Taylor Thomas.
Taylor Thomas. Thank you. JTT. We know that it's like him. I did not know at the time. Took the Patreon to tell me that this is who this little boy is.
I don't think I knew.
Know.
I don't think I knew until I was an adult who this child was supposed to be.
He is from a sitcom called Powerhouse,
which I do think is a really cute name for a home improvement XP.
Absolutely. The boys all think that this actor is like a dork.
Mm-hmm. There's so much sudden toxic masculinity going on here.
It's insane. It feels so incorrect for these boys.
Especially
like,
Tobias.
Marco, maybe. Yeah, but Tobias as if. Like, they're like, why wouldn't they get somebody cool like Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky?
Axe spends this entire conversation going, who? What? Hey, what are you talking about? And nobody answers him.
No, nobody. They are such bad friends to Axe. He's like 90% of the time.
He asks what an actor is. They took him to a movie. Did they not tell him what actors are?
Well, they didn't tell him anything else about going to the movies. Oh, it makes me so mad.
But God, there's
just like be accessible for your neurodivergent friend who doesn't know these things yet.
God, I wrote some of the stuff that they say about this actor. I don't think I can actually read out loud on a podcast. There's a slur in here.
That's right. There is. Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
The series does make unfortunate use more than once, I think, of the slur that starts with M for people with dwarfism.
Yes.
That's never how it's used in these books, but it's still like, oof.
Yep, it's bad. It's bad. And hey, listener, if you don't know that that's a slur, it's a slur.
It's a slur.
It's a slur.
But they're also like, Jake says he's just some wimpy little actor, and Marco calls him wussy.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, guys.
Seriously, they fucking suck in this book. Like, this book is so men are from Mars, women are from Venus coded. Like,
it's a little.
And like, I am too agender for this shit.
Same.
I don't know what the fuck you people are talking about.
Yeah. It really, really feels like all of their characterization just goes out the window to have this banter ?
Absolutely. 100%. And like, I don't know. I don't even really trust that like Rachel and Cassie would have the same type.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I do think it's kind of cute that Rachel and cute and tragic that Rachel and Cassie are like kind of bonding over this very normal teenage girl thing of having a crush on a celebrity boy. But like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff in this book that just does not get explored. Like, it gets brought up and then they put it on the table and then they leave it on the table and it's there and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are some parts of this book that I thought worked really well, but all in all, it did feel super rushed, and it felt really shallow.
Yeah, I was reading this like, damn, I remember the books going in way more depth than this, but like, even saying that, it has more depth to it than a lot of other things I've read.
Yeah, like, I think it's still true.
I think not in this chapter, but in the previous chapter, there was a thing about Rachel saying why Jake makes a good leader, and it's that he does it because someone has to, not because it makes him feel important. And then
and that like if they were going to put it to a vote, everybody would vote for Jake but himself.
Yeah. And then right from that into like, he's just a wimpy actor.
I know, what the fuck? They also like keep bringing up Baywatch.
Yeah.
Which again, like, that you are too young. You are too young.
Well, it's the war, Will. They're growing up so fast because of the war.
Right,
they have to watch Baywatch.
That's how it works. They can buy cigarettes now.
They can vote.
Rachel, you gotta stop voting for war criminals, man.
This is also the chapter with he has like 20 websites just about him.
Yeah.
I love that web is capitalized and sites is not, because the web is the place. Good. So that makes sense.
Yes.
And poor Axe, because they're talking about Yasmin Bleeth, and he's like, Bleeth? Is that a word? Nobody answers him.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, not to be, I'm 32. Just gonna put that out there. I had never heard this woman's name or seen it, and I did not know who she was. And I looked her up, and man, I get it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Whew.
I do get it.
Yeah.
But these children shouldn't.
That show really did have women, you know? It really did.
It really had them.
Yeah. So I get it, but also, boys, stop it.
Stop it.
So they're like, what's the point of getting this guy? Like, this is going to be so useless. And Rachel and Cassie are like, you fucking idiots. Right, this is going to be huge. We really don't know. Like, we see snippets of how he's being convinced to, you know, join the sharing. And do something with the Yerks, get some procedure. But we really don't have, like, the full extent of it at all.
Yeah. There's so many books inside this book.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. So the boys realize, like, okay, maybe this should be urgent.
Mhm.
They decide they're going to go do a recon mission. Obviously, Rachel and Cassie are very excited about this. At this point, Rachel is convinced that there's no way that he could already be a controller. So I immediately assumed, of course he is.
Right.
Not quite.
There's a line I wrote down. Was it really possible that someone like Jeremy Jason McCole could be a controller? No way. And if I did just happen to save him from being taken by the Yeerks, well, to which I wrote, Rachel would understand 8-year-old me's fantasy of going to an Aaron Carter concert and having to sing in his place because he was sick.
Yeah, same. Nevermorphed is hosted, edited, and produced by Will Williams. Our theme music is The Chase by Joey Hendricks. Our title is by Eddie Feely, and this podcast would not exist without Mike Schubert's podcast, Potterless and the Newest Olympian. You can find his works at shub.es, that's shub.es. Nevermorphed is a proud member of Hug House Productions. You can find more at hughouse.productions and follow us on Tumblr at Nevermorphed. Get morphin'!